Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings for Wednesday, November the 21st. We do have a big 13-game slate today. I believe it's the biggest slate of the year. So we got a lot to talk about. I do not want to waste a ton of time. Just make sure you guys drop a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. I would really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and look at point guard for today. So Westbrook and Harden are top two options at this position over 10K. Definitely like the spot for Westbrook, and I like his price as well. First game back from injury, Westbrook looked really good. He wasn't limited at all. He played 37 minutes in his first game back from injury against the Kings and put up 63 DraftKings points. Nearly had a triple-double. He had 29, 13, and 7. We're getting a healthy Westbrook going in to Golden State to face the Warriors, where it's probably going to be a very competitive game with no Curry, no Draymond for the Warriors. I expect this game to be close. I think the Thunder could actually win this game. The Thunder might honestly be favored. I really haven't looked at lines yet. I expect Westbrook to dominate here. 10-7 is just too cheap for him when we're getting a healthy Westbrook. He always gets up for these games. Going up against KD, you know Westbrook's going to play well here. There are a lot of good studs on this slate. When we get to small forward, we're definitely going to have to talk about LeBron, him going back to Cleveland to face the Cavs. Then you have Anthony Davis, you got Giannis, even Harden, and Embiid, so a lot of studs. Westbrook's probably one of my favorites, though. Him and Anthony Davis are probably my two favorites. And I do like Westbrook at 10-7. I feel like I'm going to be paying up for him in a ton of lineups, especially if value opens up. So if I can pay up at point guard, I'm going to be going with Westbrook a lot here. Kemba Walker, Damian Lillard, don't see myself going to these guys because I'm not going to pay $9,800 for Kemba when I can just get Westbrook for a little bit more. Same with Lillard. Really the top options for me, like the 9K options, are not going to be guys I have a ton of interest in. If I'm not paying up for Westbrook, I'd probably go down to like Ben Simmons maybe against the Pelicans, or Kyle Lowry, especially because it's a back-to-back for the Raptors, so there's a good chance Kawhi Leonard is not going to play today. So Kyle Lowry at 8,200 I do like, potentially with no Kawhi today. But these are probably not core plays for me, not guys I feel like I'm going to have massive exposure to. So maybe let's try and look in the mid-range now. There's definitely a mid-range play I really like here. So if we pull up the Dallas players, let's go over to Dallas and look at some of the injuries for this team. So go over to all the players. Dennis Smith Jr., questionable. Wesley Matthews, I believe, has already been ruled out. J.J. Barea, questionable. So that's going to really open up a ton of minutes and a lot of usage. If Dennis Smith Jr. and J.J. Barea both miss, I love this spot for Luka Doncic. 6,800. I think he is a really good option here. He's just going to have the ball in his hands a ton, especially if Dennis Smith Jr. is unable to play today. And if Dennis Smith Jr. plays, I still like Luka Doncic, especially at 6,800. Guy just has a lot of upside, can obviously score, can grab some rebounds, can get some assists as well. And we know the assist should be there if he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more, since DSJ could potentially be out. And in a matchup against Brooklyn, like Luka Doncic here at 6,800, especially if we get news that Dennis Smith Jr. is not going to play, makes me have a lot more interest in Doncic. But I still like him even at 6,800 against the Nets. If I'm not paying up for Westbrook, he's probably going to be the guy I look to as my second point guard option. Then maybe go into this mid-range here. Really aren't a ton of plays I love, like Lonzo Ball I want to go to, but you just don't know what we're going to get from Lonzo. Even without Rondo, his minutes have still not been very high, and the production really hasn't been that great. So probably going to avoid Lonzo. Colin Sexton's a big injury to watch. If Colin Sexton is unable to play against the Lakers today, he's listed as questionable. That's going to open up Jordan Clarkson as a very strong option. I do really like Jordan Clarkson here. It is a revenge game, so you can factor in whatever for the revenge game, but really the reason I like Clarkson here is because there's a chance Colin Sexton doesn't play today. We could potentially get Jordan Clarkson starting at point guard for the Cavs. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. The minutes should be there. The usage should be there. Even when he comes off the bench, he still sees decent minutes and does get some good usage off the bench. Really like Jordan Clarkson here, especially if we get news that Sexton's not going to play. He becomes one of my favorite options at this position. And on DraftKings, you can play him at shooting guard, which really, really like, because there are some point guards I definitely want to play. Being able to put Clarkson in your shooting guard spot makes him a lot more attractive in my opinion. But now getting to the value. So Fred VanVleet, if we do get news Kawhi's out, I expect Kawhi not to play today. He could potentially start. We could see a starting lineup where we have Lowry and VanVleet. starting alongside each other. So he could potentially be a value at just 4,900. If DSJ misses and JJ Barea plays, I do like JJ Barea as a value play. If he's able to go and we get news that Smith Jr. is not going to play, then he makes sense in my opinion. Trey Burke's been playing really well off the bench for the Knicks, but probably something I want to avoid. Just don't know what we're going to get from Trey Burke. He's been good these last 2 games coming off the bench, but 4,200 price tag kind of starting to rise. Probably going to be someone that I avoid today. If Victor Oladipo remains out, you could go to Corey Joseph at 3,900 on a 13-game slate. Playing Corey Joseph seems a little thin, but I could see doing it, especially if you need the value. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. And look at this position. Kawhi up top here, I don't expect to play. So you got Harden, who you could play here, but really don't have a lot of interest in Harden. Would just rather play Westbrook. A lot of the expensive shooting guards today, I don't have a ton of interest in. Like D-Book has a good matchup against the Bulls, but his price tag's really getting up there at 8,700. Drew Holiday, 8,100 against the Sixers. I do like. He seems a little bit underpriced, especially without Elfrid Payton. We know Drew Holiday's usage is going to be there. The ball handling is going to be there. I could see going to him. Donovan Mitchell against the Kings, 7,200 for Mitchell. Seems a little bit underpriced, especially for the matchup. Kings, bad defensive team. They play fast. I do like this spot for him, but probably not going to be a core play for me. Really don't see a ton of core plays at this position besides Jordan Clarkson if Sexton's out. He's probably going to be the guy that I play the most here. Tyreke Evans, even though he got priced up to 5,400, I feel like still a good option. If we get news that Victor Oladipo is unable to play, then I'll be going back to Tyreke Evans. Probably would play Clarkson over him if Colin Sexton's unable to go, but both guys are definitely playable. You can play Evans at small forward on DraftKings, so makes him a little bit more appealing. But that's probably it for shooting guard plays, for the value plays that I see that I feel like are going to be guys I have a lot of exposure to. So let's move on to small forward now. At the top of this position, you have LeBron and Giannis. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about this. Obviously, we have to mention it. It is LeBron's game, or LeBron's first game going back to Cleveland to face the Cavs. I expect him to play well here. I expect him to, get up for this game. But at 11,600, with him being the most expensive stud on the slate, if people are going to play him just because of the narrative, I will probably be avoiding LeBron today. I would just rather play Anthony Davis, would rather play Giannis, Westbrook. Even with the narrative, with LeBron being this expensive, probably going to avoid him. Giannis would definitely be the guy I would prefer, but I think I'd play Anthony Davis over Giannis today. Don't see myself getting a ton of Giannis. KD I do like against OKC. Revenge game for him as well. But this is like the 6th time that KD's faced the Thunder, so probably the revenge narrative's kind of out. But 10-6 for KD with no Curry, with no Draymond. He does make a ton of sense. I do like playing lineups with Westbrook and Kevin Durant. If you can manage to do that, if you can manage to find the value, doing that little mini game stack I think does make sense. I could see both guys really going off in this game. But now other small forwards that we haven't talked about. Jimmy Butler seems way underpriced at 7,100, but now that Jimmy Butler's on the Sixers, we really don't know what we're going to get from him on a nightly basis. So even with the cheap price tag, probably going to be a guy that I don't play a ton today. Small forward for me, you have Rocco, who's going to play massive minutes, but he's up to 5,600 in price. Don't love that price tag. Do like Tyreke Evans if Oladipo doesn't play. Maybe Rudy Gay at 5,300. I was pretty high on Rudy Gay last game. We got news he was going to play. He played 26 minutes, 24 DraftKings points. Had a pretty bad game. You still got 24 DK points out of him. His price tag did not jump at all. He's still 5,300. Still feels like too cheap of a price tag for Rudy Gay. I could see using him at small forward. I think he is a pretty strong play here. But now value-wise, really isn't a ton that I see that really sticks out to me that I feel like I'm going to have a lot of exposure to. Don't see a lot of value at small forward that I love. So let's probably go ahead and move on to power forward now. So obviously you have Giannis and AD, or Giannis and LeBron who you could play here. You also have AD though, AD 11-4 against the Sixers. Really like AD here. Him and Westbrook are my 2 favorite studs on the slate. When you factor in price, you get the savings going down to Westbrook. I think I prefer Westbrook over AD. But AD, massive ceiling. We know the kind of ceiling he has. Definitely want to pay up for him if I can. But there are some strong mid-tier plays at power forward to where I feel like I'm not going to go too heavy on AD today. Really like PASCAL SIAKAM here. He is 6,600. I expect him to be a really good option, especially if Kawhi does not play, which I don't expect him to. Pascal Siakam does see a bump in minutes, a bump in usage when Kawhi Leonard's out. You just need more guys to score, more guys to contribute when a star player's out, and Siakam's usually one of the guys that does contribute in a pretty strong way, so really like him here at 6,600. Great matchup against the Hawks, a bad defensive team, a team that plays fast. Great spot for Siakam. Love him today if Kawhi Leonard does not play. And then Domantas Sabonis for 100 less. I also really like here. Miles Turner is questionable for this game, and I imagine if Miles Turner does not play, we're going to get Sabonis starting at center. We should see a few more minutes for Sabonis if Miles Turner's out, so very strong play in my opinion at 6,500. You can play him at power forward or center on DraftKings, so very attractive option. But now looking for cheaper power forwards, it's really the guys I've talked about. You can play Rudy Gay here if you want to play Rocco because you feel safe about his minutes. I could see doing that. Would probably prefer Rudy Gay, but both guys you could play at power forward. Trying to go cheap. Marvin Bagley's minutes have been trending up, but his price tag's also getting up there too. And it's not a great matchup against Utah, so probably going to avoid that. Really the value play that I like here, we'll see what people have to say about this. Like I want to hear what some people are saying about Noah Vonleh today, but he started on Tuesday, put up a massive game. He played big minutes. I think he finished with 37 minutes. He got a double-double, had like 40 DraftKings points. He started on Tuesday with the back-to-back for the Knicks. I expect them to start him again. So definitely like Noah Vonleh as a value play at 4,100. If he starts again, just going to be a really strong option. The minutes should be there. When he's in the starting lineup, I feel a lot safer about his minutes. Kind of the same can be said with Enes Kanter. If Kanter starts again, I feel a lot safer with his minutes. But Vonleh's price, 4,100, still way too cheap, especially if he's going to keep starting. So love him as a value, even against Boston. I think he is a strong value play if you're trying to go cheap at power forward. But let's go ahead and move on to center now and look at this position. So you have Embiid, you have Jokic, who you could pay up for here, but I don't see myself getting a massive amount of exposure to these guys today. I think I just would rather play AD if I'm trying to get up top at this position. Like Embiid's $600 cheaper, and I think I'd just rather go to Anthony Davis, try and find the salary for AD. So probably not going to be paying up for center today unless I play AD here. Maybe some Jokic or like maybe some Karl Anthony Towns, but not going to be guys that are core plays for me. Like in the mid-range, just looking at matchup, price tag, DeAndre Jordan's matchup, really good against Brooklyn. 7,100 though, his price tag did rise a bit, but I still like DeAndre Jordan a bit. Same with DeAndre Ayton as well. Great matchup for him against the Bulls. His price tag starting to trend down a bit. He's down to 6,900. Really nice price for him. I think he is a strong option. I mentioned Sabonis at power forward. If Miles Turner's out today, like Sabonis. Enes Kanter, if he continues to start for the Knicks, you can feel safer about his minutes if he's starting. 6,200. If we get 30 minutes out of Kanter at 6,200, he's going to be a very strong option. So definitely like him depending on what that Knicks starting lineup is. The Knicks do play at 7:30, so we probably should get the starting lineup before lock, I would imagine. But talking about center cheap plays, value plays, maybe Jarrett Allen, 5,600. He's probably going to be forced to play minutes. You're going to need a big guy out there to guard DeAndre. So Jarrett Allen, 5,600. I do like him if you want to go a little bit cheaper at this position. Wendell Carter, 5,500, feels underpriced against Phoenix, but his minutes have been really not great lately. He's only been playing like mid-20s in minutes. So probably going to avoid that. Would definitely feel safer with Jarrett Allen, but do love the matchup for Wendell Carter if you want to go to him. But I think that's probably it for center value plays. And I think that's it for this 13-game slate, guys. Got through it rather quickly. Didn't want to talk about every single player because then the video would just be like 30 minutes long. I did feel like we went through the slate rather quickly, but we still got some good information out there, got some good analysis out there. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, just make sure you drop a like. I would appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. You can leave any comments down below if you have comments. Always check in the comment section throughout the day. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Good luck tonight on this 13-game slate. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.